Ladies and gentlemen, people and germs, welcome to episode 9 of Drayage Junkies. We got a good show cooked up for you today. I'm excited about this one. Some of y'all might know this cat across LinkedIn. He's making some waves, full pun intended, but in the right direction. And yeah, it's going to be a rock and roll show. I don't even really have that much of an intro, so kick back, relax, get ready to kick some cans. Welcome to Drayage Junkies.
Can we just talk about your hat for a second? Where'd you get that hat, man? I love that hat.
This one right here.
That is it.
So you can get that hat right there at logisticsloungeshow.com/store. It is we got this one in green, blue, white on white, black, all across the board. You want one?
I do want one. I like that.
Only $28.88, brother. How you doing today, Mr. Dirty Dray?
I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. It's been a pretty good week so far. It's only Tuesday, but it's been a good week, man. How about you?
Fantastic. It is a nice, beautiful, rainy day here in Tennessee. So kicking it, man. Got some I think we got some exciting things on the horizon here. Freaking Jack's about large cars and guitars. I keep forgetting that's in 2 days.
So I was telling Ethan, man, round 2 of his birthday is gonna be just a few days.
Dude, he's gonna freak out. Like I still can't get over when Tony told us that they're gonna have antique tractors there, and all I thought about was the one thing Ethan pointed out in that one yard. He was like, "Do you see that steam tractor out there?" I'm like, "That's not a tractor." He's like, "Yeah, it is." Sure enough, steam tractor. But
I'm pumped about our full game room we have too. Like that's gonna be sweet.
Hey, look, I am the king of Airbnbs. That's all I'm saying. I'm keeping the crown. So yeah, if you're ever going to a truck show, what a cool place to stay. Put me in charge. But well, hey, Steve, who's this show brought to us by today?
This show is brought to us by our dear friends at SureLine Capital. If you are sick and tired of the corporate factoring companies that have no clue who you are, you need to join the SureLine Capital family. They truly, Clinton and his team over there, they truly treat you like family. I mean, to be able to call the owner of the company when you got a question directly, I mean, I've dealt with a couple different factoring companies, and half of them don't return emails, don't call you back. You can't get anybody on the phone. Man, I got a question or something. I can pick up the phone. I can call Clint directly, and he'll handle it for us. But if you're looking for that family-owned touch, you need to contact Clint and his team at SureLine Capital.
That's right. And Harrison, I know you're not even in the business, but if you need some capital, you need some factoring, you can find Mr. Clint Weston on LinkedIn, but you can also go to SureLineCapital.com where you can get your factoring done fast. But the news today, I think our guest is going to be a huge help in this, and we're just going to go ahead and get it started. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ian Weiland, the Container Daddy.
Oh, I love that. I try to get my wife to call me Container Daddy, but she won't do it.
Dude.
Oh man,
you talk about Dr. Dray?
Yeah. She would get a kick out of that. She always does, but she's whenever she comes to like a trade show or a convention or some sort, and she's at the after party or a meetup afterwards, she's like, "It's so gross. They know you as Container Daddy. That's so gross."
Dude, it's hilarious though. Yeah, you got to make a name for yourself, man.
Yeah, exactly. I get a kick out of it. I'm telling you, it's like half HR nightmare, half Rico suave, and none of the above. So it's it's just
funny,
awkward.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I guess the news today. So
Yeah, thanks
we're
for having
looking
me.
here. Oh, brother, thank you for joining us here. It's definitely a pleasure. No, it took us a little bit to get you here, but you're a busy guy, and
It's
I think you've been out here at some of these ports, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a little. That is what it looks like right now. I would say the terminals themselves will tell, or the ports will tell you volumes down 20-30%. I would say realistically, it's probably down about 50% over the last, give or take, 3 weeks.
But you would say I mean, at least for me working on the East Coast are rocking, right? So I think the volume the decline we've seen is really coming out of the West Coast area. Would you agree or disagree with that, Mr. Container Daddy?
100%. Like I think right now it's the Asian imports are starting to hit the East Coast, or they're getting ready to, where when the slowdown stopped or the pause of shipping occurred, I think that's just hitting the East Coast now. For us, it hit give or take a month ago. So when right before that took place, we saw like a front load where volumes were through the roof, where I think that is what's occurring on the East Coast a little bit. Don't get me wrong, Europe's taking a play, but on the Asian import side, that you're getting the tail end of the brush, and then I think it'll just pause somewhat.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw an increase over on the East Coast, even leading up to the news of it. I mean, because typically February and March are kind of slow months for drayage, right? A lot of ports closed down, a lot of factories closed down over there. So, but we definitely had record-breaking February and March as it was leading up to this.
Yep. So here, LBCT, is that say Long Beach Terminal? Or is that Long Beach Container Terminal?
That's Long Beach. I think that's Long Beach Container Terminal.
Yeah. Usually for a lot of the terminals, at least here, vessels typically come in on a Wednesday, Thursday, start unloading with availability on a Monday. So if you're looking at today being Tuesday, that's a dead. Usually Monday, Tuesday, truck traffic wise, are busier days. Just it's dead. It's dead. It's dead right now. And if anyone tells you they can control it or they've got a secret recipe, it's not. They're not telling the truth.
They're crazy. No. They're not.
Yeah.
There's no secret recipe to drayage.
No. Right now, the only thing is like buckle down and just wait. Hurry up and wait until the imports start coming back in. And I would guess in about a month's time, maybe 4 weeks, 6 weeks, somewhere in that range, we'll start to see, my hopes, it starts raining containers. Bookings out of Asia have been upwards of the hundreds of % increase from periods in the past.
Yeah, no. Over here we saw a pretty big decline in in wood, right? Because I mean they haul a lot of like logs and even wood chips and sawdust and all that stuff over here. I mean that took a pretty big hit. And some of the recycled metal stuff that we export out of here, I know they took a little bit of a hit, but yeah, it's interesting when you see the stuff that goes over there and comes from there.
I would guarantee the same. It's probably true here. I'm not an export trucker. I would say we're like 80% imports, 20% exports. But as far as scrap, waste, those type commodities, we don't do too many of those here.
Yeah, metal waste is one of our bigger. We're probably about a 50-50 between import export. But yeah, metal recycling is one of our bigger ones, and some chemical stuff too that we export. But yeah, the metal one we saw a little bit of a decline. So
for sure, out here the metals typically, like a metals account is typically like an owner op type account, or waste paper, same thing, where they say, hey, how many? I'll give you 5 loads a day if you can do them at X rate. Where it just, I can't make the math work in most cases.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Ian. So you are the self-proclaimed container daddy. So you tell us, man, how did you get to where you are today? Like, who is Ian Weiland?
So I've actually only been in trucking for maybe 11 years now, 12. when my background is in cold calling, and if anyone listening, or you two as well, if you have the ability to have a conversation with someone, you beat 75% of your competition out the gate. The ability to speak or convey what actually is going on, what you're doing, what your rates mean, how is your day going. A lot of truckers, or a lot in the trucking industry, they can't do it, or they're drivers, right? A lot of times it's the driver who has grown enough that he wants to get out of the truck, and he's going to start, put his brother in the truck, and now he's in the office. Well, a lot of times that's the competition, and those people, their ability to converse and to have a meaningful conversation, it's just not the same. Not to say that they're bad people. It's from a sales perspective, they just can't. It's night and day. And I was a B2B cold caller in college, after college, and as I got into where I'm at today.
So what were you selling back in the day? Just out of curiosity.
I was selling trade credit insurance. I would insure accounts receivables. Now, I wasn't the sales guy. I was the appointment setter, internal. So if, let's say, a company is exporting, let's say the metal, right? Let's say the scrap metal is exporting to Asia. That scrap metal, this insurance company, if the company in South Carolina wants to sell it to Asia, that company in South Carolina would purchase the insurance policy. Like, let's say it's $100,000, and they would insure that $100,000 that Asia was going to pay for it, essentially, the Asian entity. And it was big on exports. It's big on, depending on the industry, it was more apparent than others. And that's what I was an appointment setter, cold caller for that for 6-7 years. And I moved to California, and I parlayed that into logistics, and that's where I got today. When I arrived at here, JCT had 6 trucks. JCT was looking for someone like me, and I was looking for someone like them, and it's been a match made in heaven since.
How many trucks are you at now?
Yeah, we operate about 350. Internal, we have 115 tractors with about 180 employees that run those tractors 2 shifts, and then we utilize third-party power when need be.
So what got you into that? I mean, was it just like obvious out in LA, trucks are everywhere, good place to start, making some bank? Or
I was not a golden boy when I was in my mid-20s, and I needed a change of scenery. So I decided to move to California. And when I moved to California, I met a guy. I had a friend who had a truck, and he had a bobtail flatbed. How common are those? You may think. They're not. They're not. And I did not know what I was selling. And what we were selling was LCL pickups at container freight stations that needed a flatbed delivery, but the flatbed only held, let's say it was like 16 pallets. So if someone showed up with a flatbed, they could do the same thing that we did, like for half the price, because they could double up on the number of pallets. It was not, I didn't know what I was doing. Let me put it that way. I did not know what I was doing. But I could, and that was my thing. I could talk to these people. So it was like, hey, let's branch out and do this again. And I actually opened a Landstar agency, and I was an agent for Landstar when I first started. And my training, another agent out of his office, and that's what I did for a year. Starting out, I made zero money. I mean, I lost money the first, I would say probably, I lost money the first 6 months. I think I lost like probably 40,000 just trying to figure it out. But like looking back now and how you learn what not to do very quickly when you're paying the bill. When you're fronting the bill, you learn very, very quickly, oh shit, that's not the kind of truck for that. Oh shit, like you can't tell someone the rate and then you know, the rate of the truck's different. It doesn't work like that. And it took me a good 6 months to get my feet like rolling. And my first year, I think I did 2 mil, like total gross, my first year with Landstar. And my in-house truck, I was an agent, my in-house truck was JCT. So I basically, hey, you want to go direct? Let's do this. And I've never told this man this, and I've actually never, I don't think I've ever said this publicly, but Julio, who's the owner of JCT, and I, well, when I was talking to him, my wife had a friend who owned a large Dray trucking company. That he didn't know what I did, and I didn't know him at the time. And I said we were going to be them. This is who I want to be. We're going to be those guys someday. And today, a lot of hard work and dedication. And I'm not saying we're there, but we've done well for ourselves over the years.
So let's talk Long Beach for a minute. What do you think the most challenging, in your observation, what would you say is the most challenging thing coming out of the Port of Long Beach for carriers, for drayage in general? What would you say the most challenging you see?
The most challenging thing for anyone to do is return an empty container.
Okay.
That's the most challenging thing for anyone to do.
Now, why is that?
That said, they don't know how to do it. Everyone knows the front end of the container, the pickup, the deliver. Everyone's looking for it. The customer, the warehouse, the bill to, the broker, whoever's involved is looking for the container when it's loaded. Everyone. But once that container goes empty, no one's actually looking for the container anymore. I don't like they're just looking for, hey, just tell me when it's returned so I can invoice, or the chassis charges stop. And because no one's looking for it, not to say they're not looking for it, but like more common than not, it's not like the loaded container outweighs the empty container. But if you can manage the empty return process, boom, you've got all eyes already on the on the import, on the load. But if you've got, more eyes on the empty and are able to master what would be the empty process, you'll master LA Long Beach drayage, hands down. I found that out in 2021 is when the light bulb went on for me. And that changed pretty much how I dispatch the trucks and the flow of information behind the scenes.
So is there a complexity in Long Beach with return empty? I say that because it seems like a pretty simple process. I mean, you pick up your return. I mean, we do it every day out of Charleston, South Carolina. So is there a complexity out of Long Beach that would, when you say master that empty return, that would cause them to not just...
For sure. So LA Long Beach, you can't just show up. In most places you can, you check the steamship line, depending on the markets. I don't know every market, so I'm not an expert on all, many of them. But let's say like Savannah, for instance, right? It's just one terminal. They take all the empties. You show back up there during working hours. It's at the truck's discretion on when he's going to return it, or when the container became empty, one or the other, whatever two, depending on how far away the location is and the hours of the delivery. But here, the way it works is that you can't just show up to drop the empty back off. You have to create an empty return appointment. That said, that empty return appointment, 99% of the time, I can't get same day. So I have to let's say 48 hours to up until now when that container is going to be empty. And the answer is you have no fucking clue when they're going to actually empty that container because I haven't even pulled it yet. But you have to know that in order to streamline what would be like the process. So if let's use using days of the week as an example, if I'm on Thursday, I'm picking up a container, I schedule a port pickup for Monday. So now I have a Monday port pickup and let's say a Monday delivery. Well, on Thursday, what time is that container going to be empty on Monday? Well, crap, that container, that terminal it goes to doesn't show me Monday yet because it varies per terminal. So now on Thursday, Friday, I have to go back in. Now, I don't want this container anymore. I want it to go into my load board. Friday comes around, I have to go back into the container to see if they've populated empty returnables for the particular steamship line, or if they even show where the hell they're going to go. Because here, let's say there's 12 terminals, you'll have a variation of what sizes return to what terminal per day, and it can change by the day. So if, for instance, CMA containers may return to LBCT, they may return to PCT, you don't know. You'll know today, I'll know for today 100%. But guess that I'll know that the steamship line in that aspect, but guess what? Those empty return appointments were gone 2 days ago. So there's a little of a mastery of, it's clusterfucky, 100%.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the biggest complexities that we have is if they decide to change a vessel from, like, say, Wando Welch to Hugh Leatherman, I just have to, like, drive across the bridge and drop it at that facility instead. Like, that right there, I could definitely see how that can be significantly challenging as you're trying to schedule. Number one, you want to maybe put something else on that chassis, whatever, especially if you're privately owned chassis that you're using, you're trying to get something off there to then pick up something. Yeah, I can see that being an absolute nightmare. Clint, if you're on the call, if you're on the thing, we do not ever want to go to Long Beach. We're going to stay out of Long Beach.
So what ends up happening on that aspect, now from a truck operator standpoint, let's say I got to bring that empty container back to the yard, right? So I delivered it on the Monday, I delivered it, I can't return it until Tuesday. Well, now I got to stop the container back off of the yard on Monday to create what would be a one-way leg from yard to port on Tuesday. Well, who the hell's paying for that one-way leg? Where's that money coming from?
Yeah, nobody.
Right? Do I tell the owner-operator that he's got to hold the container? Because he's going to tell me to go fuck myself. When I say, hey, you got a dispatch here pending, bro. You owe me this. And then guess what? That'll get lost because there's 100 of them. And then now from an hourly guy's perspective, now I'm going to waste another one-way enter on an hourly guy that I'm not getting paid for. Where does that money come from to compensate, to basically cover myself for instances as such? And realistically, that I'm making up numbers here, but you could be anywhere from $100 to $150. If I'm saving myself $100 to $150 per container, guess who's winning? This guy.
So I wonder
that no one sees that cost.
I wonder how many other, and again, I'm not an expert in all of them across the country, and hopefully one day I will be, but I wonder how many other ports across the country does that, needing appointments to go in. I know most of them in the East Coast don't.
New Jersey does.
Newark does?
I believe.
Okay.
I think at 8 p.m. In New Jersey. I don't know if any of the other ones have the empty appointments. Some of them do. They're getting into the pickup appointments, but they don't have the empties. Is still new to a lot of the ports. But once it starts going, it'll snowball, and everyone will be forced to have it. And a lot of times, what a trucker will start doing is they'll start charging a stop-off function. But when it gets slow and the market like dips, and the customer has a choice as to this guy has this accessorial and this guy doesn't, that it becomes a choice. And it's like, well, crap. Well, if that guy doesn't charge it, I can't charge it. And it's just the way the market runs.
So let's talk about the competition out there. Like, get into it, man, because we've talked about it. Like, obviously, like, you're doing the good thing on the right foot, you know, and like you said before, like, the rates are like so competitive. But
I have lovers. As for me as an individual, I know it. I've got some lovers. I've got some haters. I'm not for everyone. It is what it is. I'm good at what I do. I'm real. I'm no bullshit. I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I honestly, I have empties to get back. I have empties to return. Because if I master, again, I'll go back to, if I master that process, I've mastered the container. He who masters that process will win. Guarantee it, hands down. They may not publicly say it, but that's the truth. As far as competition out here, you've got a wide spectrum of individuals, individual trucking companies, from your guys that just got out of a truck that want to run a trucking company down, you know, to your suit and ties, guys that wear jackets all day long, to gentlemen like myself. I've never driven a truck. I know how they operate, but I've never driven one. There are a lot of different avenues as far as who works for people. And what I find a lot of times with individuals, and it's the same thing for when I like use outside carriers here as well. If you find yourself a good individual at the entity that you're working with, and someone that you like, you get along with, you trust, you know, they're in it for you. You've hit the nail on the head. Like for me, I've got, if you were to pick out customers, I have about, like, give or take 200, 225 active customers. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some are like one container a month down, you know, upwards of 2,000 a month is kind of like my spectrum of containers. But am I the guy for all of those containers? I'm not. Now, if I were to go off my top 10 customer, maybe it's even top 25, am I their guy? Yes, I am. I am their contact, where I've been able to, being their guy, I've been able to grow those accounts, you know, year over year, and basically make them what I would call house accounts, where I can basically set it and forget it. Not necessarily like to them as an individual, but like the process has been built, the pickup, the delivery, the communication, all aspects that a customer would expect from a Dray carrier. They're like, it's there. It's plug and play at this point, where as I can get more and more under those belt, it allows me to basically go out and find new.
Let's see. So, with all these blank sailings, you're talking about being, you know, 50% down in Long Beach, you know, what are some of the things you're doing to adapt and kind of overcome from that? I mean, are you like doing more local work, or, you know, what's the play there? Because obviously it's a roller coaster out there. We all know that. I mean,
it's tough. For us, we started to, you have to, okay, you've got your fixed costs and your variable costs when it comes to running fixed costs. Your employees, well, you can call employees, hourly employees, the same. But then you've got your variables as far as, do I need like to outsource to third parties, which would be more of a variable cost. And then you've got your fixed costs, which would be your buildings, your yards, the chassis, anything that you pay month to month. The goal was that when we started the year was to reduce overhead, you know, to go thin. And at the moment, we've gotten off of 2 yards on long-term leases that have come up, and which was shed some basically some monthly fixed costs there. And number 2 that I'm kind of doing right now, and I'm trying to hide. I've been hiding, quote unquote. I call it hiding, but from the day to day for about the last month, where I'm fine tuning our customer service department and automating a few of our internal processes to basically to make it more competitive, but also at the same time the information that we have it's valuable, like as far as to the customer. It's clunky. I've got some here in this system. I've got 6 on this page. I've got data on this page, but it doesn't streamline what the customer sees or what the customer needs to see. And I would say by Friday I should be live with what I've been building internal, and that next time I'm on the show, I'll let you know if it worked or not.
I like that, because that is like one of the biggest pains in the ass, man. It's like, and you're saying having like 200, 300 something customers. I mean, dude, that is a lot to keep up with. All the numbers, all the little, just the little intricacies, man. Because I've dealt with it in Long Beach, and it is, dude, it's a freaking nightmare. I call it the belly of the beast for a reason. That's where I got my start, man. That's where I cut my teeth. And any other port is a freaking field day. But
that's funny because
that's all.
I can do LA, but if you put me into, I can do LA, I can do Chicago. We have a few trucks in Chicago. We have 25 that we run. But if you put me anywhere else, I have no idea. I'm a deer in headlights. Now we have a team that does it, but I wouldn't be able to figure my way out. But as far as here, what we run, the dispatch, we run 2 shifts on dispatch. We've got about 12 guys. We have an equipment department that's 3 people. We have about 15 customer service reps. We're very heavy on the customer service side, heavier than most, and realistically, it translates into the customer base that we have. I'm not your. We don't have like 5 accounts that take like 100 containers a day. That's not the customer base that we service. That's not how we're built. It's probably the most difficult to service as far as overhead touch points. If I'm scheduling a one pickup and I don't have to schedule the delivery, tell you when it's coming, that may take me 30 seconds. But if I'm scheduling a pickup and I have to schedule a delivery, that, depending on when someone answers, that could take 2 days. So that type move is very labor intensive in comparison to what would be a Walmart, your Target, your Amazon. Hey, I'm coming. These are the 100 containers I'm coming with. That type of count where it's a little bit easier. Well, let me put it this way. It's less labor intensive on the customer service side, which is why we have what we have. I'm involved. I'm here every day. I'm in here prior to kids. I used to get in here at 5 and I would leave at 8. It's very hard to do with kids and to guarantee any sort of time. Dr. Dray is on my ass about at 3:30. What time are you going to be home? On the daily. And I'm like, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. What do you mean you don't know? And I'm like, I really don't know. I don't know. Well, what time do you think? And then if she tells me a time, it's 5:30. If I say 5:30, just to kind of get her off my case. If it's not 5:30, it's like, where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
That's my life. That's my life.
No, that's facts, man.
Right. What are your long-term visions, right? Like if you think 3 to 5 years out, what was your boldest prediction you think for drayage in the port operations across North America?
I think that the other local governments will get with the electric vehicle plan. We have electrics here. I've got 5, but I think that more and more we'll start adapting it, and we'll start requiring it and putting the timelines on it, and you'll see an acceleration of electric usage. I don't know how exactly it's probably going to come coast to coast and come in, but you'll see an acceleration of usage coming in the next 3 to 5. As far as the automation side, I don't know how I don't know how it's going to work, how they're going to study it, how they're going to use it day to day. Like some of the driverless trailers that you see. I'm not sure how that will come into drayage. I'm sure it will. I just don't know how. But as far as electrification, that's coming. And I think as soon as Trump's out, all local governments will start to hit the gas on it. Like here, California backed out because they didn't have any national support, where it is what it is.
So do you think there's any other barriers, economical or, infrastructural that, are making it harder for EVs to take place in drayage?
What makes the EV, what makes it hard are two things. And this isn't always like they don't, I don't see this written. I really don't. So what happens is you see the mileage. For instance, let's say the EV gets 260 miles, 260. In reality, what ends up happening, the thing gets about 175 to 180 is the real. Well, if you put a driver in it and I run that thing 175 to 180, let's say that's not 8 to 10 hours, 8 to 10 hours. That's like 6 hours. What do I do with the guy? I don't know what to do with what do I do with the guy the rest of the time? Okay, so because I can't go charge it. Do I say that you're only working 6 hours a day? Or do I have to buy a second EV to have him to put him in while the other EV goes to charge? That's issue number one. Issue number two is if I continue to run it and I do get a full shift, it depends on how far away I go. If I get a full shift, what do I do with second shift? Do I not run a guy? So now I only have production on one shift for the electric vehicle? Then my issue becomes, those are two issues that I have. Then what ends up happening is once I start running the EV and I've got, let's say 5, if I have 5 EVs and I've got, right? So if I have 5 EVs and you run South Carolina, what time is the South Carolina port open?
5 a.m.
5 a.m. So let's say you're delivering what would be like a local move, right? So you're going to come in at 5, you're going to come back at 8, you're going to come back at 11, and you'll come back at 1400, right? So you get basically like 4 shifts, give or take.
Yep.
I'm not holding you, but something like that.
Yeah.
So what happens here is I've got 5. So I run 5 here. They open at 7. So if I have 5 at 7, I have to have 5 at 10 to 11. Do I have those 5 at 10 to 11? What if only 2 of them have 10 to 11s? Then I've got more appointments at 1300. Then I'm like, crap, what do I do with the truck? Because I've got 2 guys now at 11. I got 5 trucks. What do I do with the other 3 trucks? Where do I put them? Well, now I got to use them on something else that's not paying for it in order to maximize my cost per day on the truck or to get my bang for my buck with the wear credits for the warehouse. So then I have to substitute other loads in, but what if they get stuck on those other loads? And instead of I'm counting in my head mathematically 2 hours on the turn, what if it takes them 4? Now I just fucked myself on what would be the other loads for the day, and I just completely shit the bed on what would be. I'm thinking I want 15 loads out that day across the 5 trucks. Now I've only got out 5. That's where I'm at. That's what ends up happening with these trucks. You can't turn them like that on and let me put it this way. Once you get to 20 plus trucks, yes, you can scale it. But if you're under 20 trucks, which is like all but 2 companies, it's not scalable because you can't maneuver it across the containers you need to in order to make your bang for your buck. That's what ends up happening. So if I were running them, let's say in Savannah, okay, no big deal. You just show up. It is what it is. You show up when you tell the customer you're coming or whatever. Yep. Last free day, you show up, you pick up your container, you can turn those trucks because you're getting it. Here in LA, if the appointments don't line up, I can tell you today that I'm screwed for tomorrow on the electric trucks because I can see that my appointments don't line up. And if those appointments don't line up, as the trucker, you're left footing the bill.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'm going to be late to my drop off empty appointment because my truck needs another hour to charge.
Right. That's no one cares. No one cares. But it's not, these appointment systems have to run this way in order to perform like volume. It is what it is. And at this point, like it's been 10 years, 8 years since the empty appointments came into play. Like it is what it is at this point. Everyone needs to just like figure it the fuck out. Like, because it's not changing. Adapt. Don't complain. Adapt. And that's for this. Do I complain that I can't operate the truck efficiently? No one cares. Like,
give me my shit, and that's all they care about.
Right. So for what would be let's say after credits, a $350,000 investment, I'm just not going to do it. I won't do it until the price point of the truck is low enough that I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. Or somehow the clouds open and it's like, hey, let's do electric vehicles at no appointments. It's just not going to happen. So if I beat on that horse, like, okay, I'm beating on the wrong horse. It's like, what is the real cause? What is the real issue? And the real issue happens to be is like, it's not scalable at the moment.
Are you seeing any progression with the hydrogen trucks out there?
Sorry, I don't have any hydrogen, but I would put them in the same boat. If you have one hydrogen, again, it goes back to what time's your appointment of the day? Are you a 10, a 7 a.m., a 10, a 13, and a 15? Does the math work out? From what I've heard with the hydrogens, they do work very well as far as the mileage. So you can use it for what would be a whole day across 2 shifts. If it's more than that, I don't know enough about them to say, yes, it works. But I have heard that they do work and they do work well. But I've also heard that they're expensive to fill up. So I don't know enough about them to be able to like comment. What I do know about are the EVs and my experience that I've had with them and where it becomes difficult.
California's got to love that.
When Trump came in, they all backed out. I'm telling you, everyone that was pushing for it backed out because they said they had no support. But they said they would come back in 4 years when essentially like everyone has to come back.
Yeah, I mean they're definitely going to keep trying. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of them. I just don't see it lasting long term. I think there's better solutions out there. And don't ask me because I'm not a scientist. I'm not the guy, behind the, I'm not wearing any lab coats out here. But I mean, I do see purposes for them, like in the yards, make perfect for a yard goat. Like, if it's like a couple runs, whatever. But can't run long miles, like you said. Takes forever to charge. And then once those batteries are done, what are they going to do with them? Freaking bury them in the desert somewhere.
That's what they're doing now.
Dump them in the ocean. Save the environment.
I would say there are a bunch of batteries here that connect to, they're like outside storage units that connect the solar fields together that have come in, like they were coming in like gangbusters over the last 2 years. That's what I heard that happens with those things. Like, what are you going to do with it when it stops working? When the battery runs out, what do you do? And they said, oh, we're just going to leave it in the desert. Like, wait,
yeah, I can't even throw out a lithium. I can't even throw out a freaking battery from my remote legally, like.
Yeah.
You're gonna have these massive batteries the freaking size of a truck. No.
That was what I was told. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't do that for a living, so I don't know all those details, but that's what I was told that happens to these things after they're done.
That's crazy. That is absolutely insane. So let's talk about
other things do you guys
do? What?
Say it again. What other things do you guys? What other things do you guys experience or hear that comes from LA that you find funny, comical, frustrating, or you're like, wait, what? That creates some question.
I mean, I've dealt with it personally, so I'm just like, I've seen a lot of it. It is just the Wild West. Like I said, it's the belly of the beast. So like, nothing really surprises me. So Steve, if you got anything, man, take the wheel on this one. I'm sure you got some questions.
No, I mean, it's, the biggest thing for me is I don't deal with it, right? But I just, a lot of the forums and different Facebook thing and different sites that I'm on, and drivers out there really get a little creative with their words, and they a lot of times drivers aren't the happiest group of people, but those people out there really don't seem to be happy with the career decisions that they've made.
Drivers are a different breed. Whenever I'm like, yeah, they're a different breed. They are like, there are groups of them. They hang out, and I think a lot of times, now, don't get me wrong, this isn't like a bash against it, because I see it on LinkedIn as well. Like, if I say something wrong and my wife finds out, she puts me in check, right? She'll put me in check. If I feel like a lot of times with these pages, that if their significant other had heard them say that, they don't have someone to put them in check. It's like, wait, you're in your truck all by yourself all day long. Like, let's get a sense of reality. You and your buddies are like talking back and forth on this. Wait, in reality, in a reality setting, does this make sense? Should I be saying this publicly? Sometimes it's not, the voice of reason isn't always there.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think a lot of them are uneducated in it too. Because I mean, you got to think back like pre-COVID time, and then definitely during COVID, man, a lot of drivers jumped over into that. And like one of my worst experiences was I was doing exports for a huge cheese company, and this carrier that I had decided to street turn 2 containers without letting me know, without letting the steamship line know. Well, come to find out, this container gets loaded up, and excuse me, the yard guy strikes again. So come to find out,
Please hold while the freight hound's yard gets mowed.
Sorry about that. This same shit happened last week. But so yeah, they street turn these 2 containers, and they get loaded up in the vessel, dude, and they're in the belly of this thing. And my customer calls me, he's like, dude, what the fuck did you just do? I was like, what are you talking about? The containers are there. Everything's fine. Well, they didn't talk to the steamship line. So these 2 containers that were supposed to go to Australia and Japan were scheduled to go to South Africa and Italy. So took freaking, dude, taking phone calls from Australians at 4 a.m. getting cussed out is not fun. Cost them about $20,000 to get them pulled out, put on the correct vessel, and delayed production. I mean, dude, just a shit show. Yeah. And then having drivers showing up like, oh, I didn't know I needed a TWIC card. I'm like, how are you even on Drayage.com right now, brother? Like,
I think a lot of the time also is that the points, and I can tell you from in here, the points of communication, or the how to communicate, in the sense of like that guy with the TWIC, right? There is someone that touched that order before it hit the truck. Did that guy give the truck the right information? And a lot of times, like, that's what ends up happening. You go down, like, for here, you go to a terminal, you've got 5 brokers that end up, like, those that broker the loads out, that are basically have the missed appointments. Why? Or do they have missed appointments? Is it the driver? No, it's not the driver. It's that he was never dispatched. That's why no one's showing up. And I see that more often than not, that the driver doesn't have the correct information in order to complete the move, whatever the move may be. And it's not actually him. It's whoever is dispatching him. Like for us here, like, yes, it's a dispatcher, but a customer service rep is touching it first to give it to the dispatcher, to give it to the truck. And that's our flow of information. So if the customer, realistically, if we didn't have it, it's not his fault. It's not the dispatcher's fault. Well, dispatcher should have questioned it, but it's really the customer service person's fault for not gathering all the correct details that needed to be fed down the line.
Oh, I got a perfect example of something like that. So I got a customer that we've been delivering to these for 3 years. Well, they had, or two years. They had when the big storm in North Carolina, the big flood happened up there. The warehouse got destroyed. Well, to this day, when was that? October? When was that big storm that took out the bridge up there in Tennessee, North Carolina?
Oh,
It was like October, wasn't it? November?
Yeah.
Whenever that. Okay, so here it is. We're May. I still get rate cons and delivery orders and BOLs for this movement that still has the warehouse on it that doesn't exist. It got destroyed in the flood. But I'm a totally different warehouse that's literally in a totally different city, like 15 miles away, and they've never changed it. Luckily, I call the warehouse and I'm like, hey, just want to confirm, where do you want this? Because obviously I know you don't want it in this warehouse that doesn't exist anymore, because we're not going to dump this off in a pile of dirt in the yard. But yeah, I mean, the communication and to your point, right? I mean, who is responsible all the time, right? Is the driver, is the broker or the dispatcher giving them the correct information, either appointment times or delivery locations or whatever? I mean, everybody's just so quick to just want to move it so quick. I mean, I get calls all the time from brokers that'll be like, hey, we when are you picking this up? I'm like, what do you mean, when am I picking up? Well, it's available for pickup. Okay, well, it's still out at sea. I mean, unless you want me to put pontoons on my boat or on my truck and go out to the water and pick this up, like, it hasn't arrived. Well, it shows available for pickup. Well, it does show available for pickup in there, but inventory, it shows not arrived yet. It's not an inventory. Like, the vessel is not even here yet. So I think everybody just knowing, every part of the business, and before they actually start doing something, they understand what their job is and to communicate the correct information, I think is extremely important here, because people get themselves in a bind. I mean, I learned that firsthand when we first started. Broker called me and said, hey, your container's here. I was able to pin it. My driver got to the port to pick it up, and they're like, yeah, that container's not here. I'm like, what do you mean it's not here? It says it's available for pickup. Yeah, it's not even inventory yet. It's not here. Still out at sea.
Training in this industry is very difficult. It's time consuming, and not everyone sticks. I would say, like, for here, a customer service rep, it takes about, if I were to get somebody from scratch, it takes about 6 months, where it's understanding the terminal, like the overall systems. How does a truck run? Because let's say you were, Steve, let's say you're brokering me a load, right? The way that you want the truck to run is different than the way I want it to run. Now, can we make it mesh? Where a lot of times a customer may send, let's say you were to send an email in and say, hey, this needs to deliver at 11 o'clock. Well, if my side says, well, it's got a pickup appointment at 10, yeah, we can do that. And it's not going to show up until really 2. Like, that kind of common sense I say common sense because I've done it, we've done enough loads, or I've seen enough of them to say, hey, that's not realistic, Steve. I can get there by 2. And then you're like, okay, let me check. But noticing something like that, to not shoot yourself in the foot with what can happen, that takes a while to train that, because it's usually scenario by scenario.
So what's one thing that you wish you would have known when you first started in this logistics landscape, the drayage out there in Southern California?
How much time that it actually sucks up, and how long it takes, to learn something or become good at something. And it's not necessarily, I say good, but it's efficient. Efficiency is good in logistics. The ability to get it done and be efficient. Like, can I make that happen? And I'm either going to make more money, right, behind the scenes, because my cost is going to be lower because I'm efficient, or B, I'm going to be able to charge for it because someone knows that, hey, this guy's got his shit together, he's efficient and gets it done. And if it's C, if it's both of the above, all right, awesome. We're killing it. We're breaking bread.
Absolutely.
But I did not know. My father worked hard. My father was in sales, I didn't say door to door, but my dad sold Caterpillar equipment, like for road equipment in Maryland and Washington, D.C. And he was a car he was in his car all the time, right? So if he's down in D.C., D.C. is like 2 hours, hour and a half, depending on traffic, from my house. So he may not have gotten home until some days like 7 o'clock. Some days are 5, some days are 7. It just depends. And that's what I grew up with. And I wanted this when I first started. I wanted it. I still do, don't get me wrong, but like I wanted to learn it, and I wanted to put a name for myself is how I started and what I wanted to do. But how much time did that take? It took a lot. It required about 10 years of my time.
Oh, there's so much. Hey, and there's so much to it. I mean, it changes. I mean, every time you turn around, there's something different. I mean, you either got, you're running along good, and then we'll call it COVID happens, right? Which changes the whole landscape of it.
Sure.
And then, let's just say, there's been a bunch of other stuff in between it since then, but then we'll say, okay, now we're running along good. Now we got this whole, tariff scare, and then the complexities that have come from this, and who knows what'll be next, and who even knows what the outcome's going to be once all these containers start dropping. I mean, there's just so much to there's so much to it, and I think, at least for Charleston, I don't know what it did out in Long Beach, but I mean, I know that containers were just sitting out there. I mean, they couldn't even during COVID, they couldn't even get to the docks. I mean, they were just anchored. I mean, you look at marine traffic or any of those things, all you see is just these containers just anchoring out there, and you got customers just itching to get this product, and you're just looking at all these vessels just sitting out there.
Dude, I remember watching it happen, man. Long Beach would have like 50 vessels anchored out, and then it started moving up to Oakland, and then what happens? It starts going to Houston, and then boom, the East Coast starts building up, man. Look at Savannah and Charleston now. I credit that to COVID. Like
what the credit to COVID during that time period was the 1 year out of our total existence that we've been able to name our holidays. No. I'm going to take off that day. I'm going to take off that day, because that was the only time as a truck you had a choice. And it's like, you know what? Fuck it. We're off that day. We're taking 2 days off for Thanksgiving. It's 2. Yes.
Yep.
Since then, it does. Then everyone becomes accustomed to it, and they're like, oh, or what time do we get off? And then the response is,
yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Let me see your log. How many hours you got left?
Yeah. We don't pick and choose. We don't. If the terminal's open, we're open. Now we don't do. I do Vegas, Phoenix, NorCal, like Oakland, from Long Beach. That's usually as far as I go. All of our guys come home at night. It's not like we're doing over the road stuff. So it's today for tomorrow. It's planning purposes. Like, okay, they're going to be back. So yes, we're closed tomorrow. No, it's not open, or we don't get to pick. Unfortunately, we don't get to pick and choose anymore.
That's facts. Well,
my wife reminds me of that.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, hey,
what happened to COVID?
Do what?
What happened to COVID? Why can't you take the time off? Like,
yeah.
Do you remember like 2022? I'm like, that changed 3 years ago. What are you talking about?
Yeah, faucet's back on.
Yeah, right. We are wide open.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when it's going to shut down again.
Well, Ian, we're getting about to that hour point, brother, and it's man, like definitely episode 2 is a necessity.
Very near, yes.
Because like, dude, like I swear we're good at this, but like the knowledge that you've been spitting, brother, I'm soaking it up like a sponge, and it is like I mean, the way you think about your operations is like there's a reason that you're, the guy out there. You're the guy, and you know it. But you got to work your ass.
He's not the guy. He's the daddy. He's the. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. By the way.
No, you've made my day, because when I can get a grown man to say it, I've won. I have a guy that I have a customer, and he's a good friend of mine, and he refuses to say it, and he only texts me CD. He will only call me CD. He refuses to say it. So I tell him, I said, just say it once. It takes the power right out of it. Just say it once. I'll record it. We'll play it back. You don't have to admit that you said it twice, and then we'll just move on.
It's funny. He's saying it in his head.
He won't do it. Yeah, he won't do it.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight thinking about having to schedule my empty returns.
Before the container's off the vessel.
Yeah.
That shit sucks. I can't even imagine it on your scale even. But well, hey man, before we chop out of here, any exiting words of wisdom, plugs, where can people find you, and what's in the future?
All right. I recommend everyone, if you want to get it, just keep getting it. Like, keep hitting it hard. It will turn at some point. Don't give up. Don't give up. It will get hard, but don't give up. If you want to reach me at rates with an S at jctransports.com. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm the Container Daddy. I have fun. I make it fun, but we also get shit done.
Right on, man. Well, hey, you are now an honorary Drayage Junkie. You can go tell your family. You can tell your buddies. The Container Daddy Drayage Junkie. Put it on a t-shirt.
Awesome.
Well, hey, man, stick around with us before we chop out of here. We'll end the stream here in just a minute and do a little chatting in the back. But Dirty Dray, what you got going on, brother?
I just want to remind everybody to check out truckingnewshub.com. As we talked about Long Beach today, we also have port cams on there for Houston, Newark, and Charleston as well, and all of your updated trucking news. There's Drayage news on there as well to check out your container news. But yeah, and if you want to subscribe to it and get your daily trucking news directly in your inbox and your email every day, every morning, please go ahead and do that. So that's my shameless little plug on Trucking News Hub. But yeah, man, this is a great show, man. I love people that have been in this for years, because like I said, we've been in it since 2022. Before that, I was in the supply chain of Pepsi, but really just kind of get into this in 2022 with the whole container piece. So I love talking to people that have been in this for a while. It's what Hunter and I, when we decided to put the show together, we just love talking about them. This show could literally go on for like another 2-3 hours. We religiously have to make a point to shut this thing down in an hour. We could just keep talking. We could just keep talking for hours about this stuff. So, but I appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to pick your brain on some stuff, and definitely, round 2, round 3 in the future to get you back on here and talk some more stuff as the drayage world evolves and changes.
That's right.
Awesome.
Mr. Freight Hound.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Be sure to go and check out Mr. Ian Weiland's profile. Check out JCT, truckingnewshub.com. And if you want one of these nice reefer hats, you can go to logisticsloungeshow.com/store. Be looking out for the drop today. Our t-shirts just arrived, the Drayage Junkie exclusives. I am pumped about that. So, Ian, thanks again for tuning in, brother. We don't actually have a guest lined up for next week. I kind of like that because who knows? It's a surprise. So tune in. But thank you so much to SureLine Capital. It is sure fun to be doing some factoring with them. Steve, you can touch on that once again. You're pretty good at that.
Hey, if you want the family experience, I'm telling you, there is nothing like small business family experience. I don't care what industry, whatever you're in, man.
Yeah.
So call Clint, call his team, check them out.
Tell them the junkie sent you. But that'll do it for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay junky and go kick them cans.